Hi, it's Deb from Project Life Deb's Way again. I've got another process video for you this time, but it's completely different from what I normally do. I'm doing a travel themed Project Life, and in this particular one, because there's so many photographs, I've actually put some extra flap pages in the layout for you, and even on the other page I have got a nice little flap on there as well. And I haven't done any journaling on this because I have done my normal little file folder at the back of my cards where I will put my itinerary and all of that sort of thing for the holiday on there. So I do hope you like this process video. It is slightly different because it has no flowers and things like that, so there isn't a lot of fussy cutting with this. Most of the ephemera and everything else came with the papers. I just add a few tickets and things from my stash, but everything else came with the paper pack. So let's have a look at the sneak peek video which I've got, which actually you can have a really good look at what the layout actually looks like finished before we start making the cards. So please don't forget to subscribe and maybe leave a comment in that, because I do like to hear from you. And if you do subscribe, you will actually get a notification when the next video is up and running. So till next time, bye. Now here's a look at the finished layout that we will be doing in this process video. It's a travel theme, and included in this layout is a flat pocket here, another flat pocket here, and there's also a flip page here included in this layout. Now there is no journaling and etc. except for a few labels, mainly because I will be putting my journaling folio underneath this card here, and I'll put a little pocket at the back to put a little folio in there with all my holiday journaling and etc. in there. And if you need to know how to do that, I do have some videos on how to do your pocket pages behind, included in other process videos. So I do hope you enjoy doing this layout, and as you can tell, there are no flowers on this because it is a travel theme. So let's get on with making our cards. These are the papers that I will be using, which I've taken from the Tapestry of Time collection done by Uniquely Creative, which is an Australian firm. I have taken some tags from my stash because I'm going to do a travel theme. So with this particular one, I won't be using any of the flowers at all, and this has a lovely blue background, which of course I can cover up the flowers here, a slight blue. I also have the green. I really like this sheet here because it has these pieces that I can use on my travel theme. Now this has an amazing amount of cut apart sheets with all sort of tickets and things like that, and it also has a great ephemera sheet here with a nice splodgy background, and I'll be cutting a lot of these out because being a travel theme, I'll be using a lot of the this sort of thing to do tags and tickets and things like that with this. On the back of this particular sheet here, you will always find a fantastic cut apart sheet, and I'll be using some of the circles, some of the words. It's just perfect for a travel theme, because these days travel theme papers are getting very, very hard to get hold of. Not a lot of the companies are doing that type of paper lines at the moment. So from this I will be making my full side-by-side layout. I'm just going to show you how I've cut this paper because it is fairly important, because I want this piece here for my 4x6. So I've done a 4-inch cut here straight across. That was my first cut. Then I have come in to where this is, and it works out at 5 5/8. Now to make this into a 4x6 card, I am going to trim this at 4 inches for the width, and as you can see I've left this piece here like that, and then I'm going to work out where my 6-inch cut is going to be. So I'm going to cut this at the bottom like that, so I get these pieces here. Then I will work my 6 cut after that. So that actually gives me my foundation card, and with this I won't have to add much more. I just do some layering here. Because of the paper line that I've been using, I've decided I'm going to do black photo mats, and because the papers have a lot of muted brown tones, I've decided to frame each of my layout cards with this particular cardstock. So you will need 2 sheets of a sort of a, it's sort of like a cocoa, very light colour with a tint of green in it, just to go with things, because you can actually see that it sort of is in this creamy tone, and it would just make my cards pop, because I've actually done one already, a 6x4 card, and it just needed something else to make it pop. So I'm going to get these 2 cards. With my thing I can do 2 in 1 cut. I'm going to cut a strip at 4 straight up, and another strip of 4 like that. Now you'll take each one of these strips and you will cut them 2 strips into 6x4, so you'll end up with 4 6x4 cards for one side. Do it for another strip. I don't tend to frame all of my layouts like this, but this particular one needed it. So now we have 8 6x4s. Now we're going to make our little cards, which are 3x4. So there's 2, 4, 8 of those. So they will be laid down completely to make your layout. So every card that you do will have one of these backing cards. Now we're going to start making our cards, and as normal I'm going to start on my card 1. I have got my backing card for my 6x4. I'm going to place my 5 5/8 by 3 5/8 card on the top. Now this particular card you need to cut, it's the blue sheet like this, but you need to cut this into 6-inch strips, and it is this one card here in the middle, which is a true, I've just cut the 6x4 and then trimmed off my 2 sides so that I've got my little border for this. So now all we need to do now is just stick that, and I've edged it with my brown distressing ink. So that just goes on top like that. Now this piece is from the blue paper and I cut a 4-inch strip off the bottom, then I cut a 6-inch and I've cut the 3x4 from the corner. Because I'm covering up my florals, it doesn't matter. So what we're going to do with that is we are now going to attach this over into the corner. And as you can tell, it just gives you a little tiny border. Now from the domino pattern, I've just cut a good 2-inch strip all the way along, and I'm just going to be using bits to just get some of your dominoes in, and that's been edged in the brown again. So that gets stuck on, and as you can tell, it just gives you a little border all the way round. And then we will start building up, because this is what I class as an eye candy card, doesn't have a photograph on it, and we will gradually build this one up. Now we'll start by layering our cutouts and things. So you need to find these cutouts. I've taken the tag from here, the number 4 from here, and the number 1 from this sheet, and the little stamp as well, so that you can find what ephemera I've used. Now this one here I've edged, we're going to stick that flat. Now I want, this came from the ephemera pack, but just find some words that you would like, and I'm putting mine up the top there. Then I'm going to stick this slightly over the checkerboard, so it's virtually in the middle. And as you can see, I've sort of just got these grouped. This one here I've put on mounting tape, because it's a I want that a bit raised. Now I have used just some twine, it's very, very fine twine, and I've made a tiny bow for the top of this tag. And this particular tag, I want to just wrap some of this cord round, and then I want to fold this, just go up and underneath, and tie a bow. So I've just done this about 3 times. And then I'm just going to cut my cord, and then I want to spread out those 3 layers onto the tag like that. I will just put a wee bit of tape on the back just to keep that into place. Now we need to glue our little bow onto our tag, so that can be sticking and drying like that. So our next thing is, with this particular piece here, I want it just underneath this one. Now because I've got things going on, I'm going to glue this one. Normally I would just tape it, but today I need to get it down pretty well straight away to show you. So we're just going to layer that towards the top, slightly off center, and just stick that down. Now we can put our word sentiment in, because it's what I class as the eye candy card. Now this memories came from the paper sheet that came on the front page label, where you've got tabs and circles and things like that. I've taken one of the tabs and I've actually cut memories out of that. And I forgot to ink this, so I very quickly just run a little bit of ink around the edges. And we're going to stick that down like that. Now we start layering our other tags on top, and just position them until you feel you've got them how you would like. I'm going to slope this one because I've got that one slightly sloped. These are all being laid flat. And the one that's on the raised tape, very quickly we have our title card for card 1. Now what we need to do is this slither down card needs to be attached to our base card. And I've edged that once again in the brown. Then we attach this card here, which is cut from the blue card. I've just cut a 6x4 and just keep all the bits that you have left over, because we do use them in further on. Now this is a 4 by 3 3/4, and that will just give us that little edge once again. So we'll attach this to our card, and I've edged that in the brown. Now I've already attached my photograph to my photo mat, and this is a 3x4 photo mat. Now the 3x4 photo mat, I want, for my layout, I'm putting it right into the middle of this, and I'm going to put a piece of this the strip that I cut down, and I've edged that, and I'm going to pop this right in the middle of the card, making sure. Now that was a 5-inch strip, so I'm putting that just in the middle like that, either side the same. The photograph then will go right in to the middle like that, sort of raised up the top with just the little border. Now I'm going to put in here that little tag that we have done, so I'm going to glue that in before I put my photograph down, and tuck him just underneath, just poking out with that little bow. Here I'm going to put this down here, and I think I'm using a few of these. I may in actual fact grab some brads and just use a brad to stick that into place when I do that. Okay. Now we'll stick our photograph down. And get that next into place, but I'll just press that down lightly. Now this I wanted to pop there just underneath. And this one I'm going to put onto a little bit of the foam backing tape, and I will just pop that to one side. And then press my photograph down. Now this one, now I've just decided with this one that I need a brad to actually sort of keep that into place, so I'm going to put a little bit of glue in, and then I'm going to put my hole through to pop my brad in. Just looks better with that hole because I don't want another bow. And then flip that over, and we will just put that brad down. Now a little hint, if you ever use brads for your project life, always pop a piece of tape over the back if you've gone through to the back layer, so that when you slip your cards in, your brad won't catch at the back. It's just a little hint there. Now I'm using a few more of these, so they all have to have that brad popped in. And there we have card number 2 finished. Now this is on to card number 3. Now there's a little bit of cutting here because I will be doing a flap, half a flap page on this particular one. So you have got your 6x4, your 5 3 5/8, and that one was cut from the bottom here in the first 6-inch strip that you have cut. These two little pieces, there is a small inch strip from the next strip there that I've cut for this. This piece here is from an 1.5 inch strip that I've just cut from here straight across, And there's also another strip that the leftover here that I have actually cut for this piece here. And from this paper here, I have just cut a piece of that paper there, which would have come from this 6-inch piece that is cut here, the 4-inch piece here. It would have come from here. So you need to cut a 6 inches and then cut your 3x4, and that's number 3. Now what I've done here, I'll make the flat card second, but we'll go on to making our base card, which you've got your 6x4. I've inked the edges of this, so you need to stick that straight down. Like that. Now this strip I want right in the middle, or a little bit further up actually, like that, and I want that to go all the way across. So just attach that down. I'll cover and then this strip is going the full way across here. So we will attach that as well. Now I've got a few photographs here. I've got one for the flat card and some for underneath, like that. And then I have this one to go here. And I've actually put the wrong photograph there. That is for card number 4. So I'm going to transfer that over because I actually want this one. So I will attach that, and that is on a 3x4 photograph mat, and that is going to sit like this. But before we put this down, I've got one of the tags which I got from the cut apart sheet here, just on, and I've made it into a tag and cut it a little bit shorter, and I'm going to poke that underneath to hide this flower here, so we can attach that underneath like that. So we'll attach now. There was a huge great big fire went through this place in Tasmania in 2019, and this is the damage that is left, and they've only just recently opened this tree walk up again, and we are lucky enough to get there when they just opened it. So because I've got my photograph in, these words are on the strip that you cut off, that they always put the name sheet of the paper, and they've got lots of lovely words there, so don't throw them out in this collection because you can use them all on your layouts. So there is our base card done. Now with our flat card, I'm going to do a half flap like this because I've got the extra photographs to do. So on the back here, I'm going to attach that little bit of card just slightly in the center, and I've edged it. So we'll pop that into the center. I can't make a decision whether to do this and this. Oh, no, I think I prefer the strip here. So we're going to put this strip down. The photograph then, which is a smaller photograph, and I've just going to pop that into the center. Now I've got one of these pull tabs, and I want to put my pull tab here, just underneath like that. So I'm going to glue that down with a bead of glue. Now as you can see, these tags came off of the front of the paper sheet, the name sheet. Now I have got here a word that I've cut out to cover that up. So we'll just stick that down. Like that, and then we're going to flip this over. We are going to put that center sheet over the top. Like that. Now just remember, when you're putting photographs in, it's going to fit like this. So you have to put your photographs. Now you could put, if you wanted to, another little word here, which I might actually do. I'll cut one off of the sheet when I find a sheet with the word. On that tag I might put just get the remember. A lot of companies do that with the price tag sheet. They actually put little words on there, so it's always worth checking them. And just put that up the top of the tag. Now I've got the photographs here of the file when it went through, and also what it used to look like. So I'll just want to pop those in and get them fitting. If you need to cut your frame down that little bit to make everything fit, that's fine. So I'm going to just take these in. This is where your little flat pockets are absolutely fantastic. Just remember to stick everything really well down, because it will get a bit of punishment where the pages are open and closed. Now I know for a fact that my page is going to have the slots coming from the top, I hope. So when I actually put it into my plastic folders, I will actually either tape it down and it slides in, or if not, I will have to make a slit and then poke it through the slit. So I will leave that like that until I come to that time to put it into my album. So there we have a fantastic way of just adding those little extra photographs there. So that's card 3. on to card 4. Now card 4 is a fairly simple card. So you've got your 6x4 base card. Now this one here, the 5/8, I have cut from this sheet, and if you remember rightly, we cut that first piece off and we have this piece spare here because we'll be using this and not to touch this. So you cut your 6x4 just across from that spare bit, and I've edged that, and we are going to just pop that down. With this, making sure, because you've got print there, that the print is running the right way. Now as you can see, I've made a mistake here. It looks like I haven't trimmed one side off, so I'm quickly going to just cut that little border off and ink it, and we should by now have the right, so we have that little border all the way around as normal. This sheet here is 5 3/4 inch by 2, so we just need to stick this down, and that strip just came off of one of those strips. It's just a long 6-inch piece, and then I've just cut the bit off. I'm not particularly worrying that the writing's going the wrong way, because it's all going to be covered. Now this is the photograph that I had wrong in the other layout, and that is going over here, and as you can see, you've actually covered all your print. So we're just going to stick that down, but don't press this part down yet, because we have one of those tags from the cut apart sheet, which is one of these tags up here, and it's the one here with the red, and I've just stuck my bow down before, so we're going to just tuck that underneath, and then I'm going to put this on a little bit of foam tape to give it a bit of a lift, and just pop that a bit over. Now if you haven't got your photographs, move your tape across so that you can get your photograph underneath. And the stories has come from one of those little price bottoms of your paper, so I've used that, and that is going to go now. That's got the stories, so I'm going to trim off. Actually, I can't trim that off because otherwise the spelling is wrong. So I'm going to have to stick that back. And there we have our card 4 complete. Now to finish our left-hand layout, we need our 4 sets of 3x4 cards. Of course, you've got your base card, which is your 3x4, and then you've got your 3x4 by your 2 3/4. When you cut these, you normally cut your 3x4 and just cut your 1/4 inch off of 2 sides. Then we have a strip here of 1 3/4 by 3 3/4, and a tiny bit of the blue strip, which you should have left over from one of your other cuts that you've done, which is 1 inch by 3 1/2. Now with your photo mats, I've just got your base card, which I put the black photo mat on, and of course I've put my photograph on. With my other one, I have got my base card, which I've just put a bit of the blue, which you should, if you haven't, just cut a 6x4 and then cut your 3x4 and just cut a little bit off of the two sides to give you that border. And I've just matted my photograph so that it all has a tiny little border all the way as you go through, probably 1/8 of an inch off to give you that. And then just stick your photograph on, and as you always know, I always tend to do 2 photographs and 2 with just what I class as eye candy cards. So there's a quick 2 bits done. Now we'll start with this card here. So I've just, from the ephemera paper with all the tickets and stuff, got 2 pieces out. I've made a small tag, taken a bit of the dominoes, and I've used one of those cards that I took out of my stash. If you can't, just make yourself a tag from some cream paper or craft paper and pop your hole on. So once again, because we've taken that little 1/4 of an inch off of 2 sides, we've got that small border. So we will take this down, and this came from the blue sheet, and you can see I've sort of chosen a bit with some writing and stuff on the bottom. This one came from the sheet that had the butterfly with the 2 little tickets, and you can actually see from the strip it had some of the writing, so I thought that was a bit interesting to use, so I've used that bit. Now this should fit, making sure you get the writing the right way. Now we need to trim that down just a fraction. So once again, we have that little border all the way around, and just pop it where you think you're going to get the best real estate for it. So we'll pop that like that, and then we put our tag on slightly slanted, right sort of in the middle. And then we can start building our layers. So I'm going to put this sort of not in the middle, but just down from the middle, so you can actually see both the bottom and the top of your tag. I'm going to slip this little tag underneath, and I'm going to pop this and then I will glue my word up the top. There we have one card done. Now we go on to the next one. So we take our base card again, the one that we've just taken the 1/4 of an inch off of 2 sides, and take that down, and that came from the butterfly paper again. We'll just stick that down. Now this is a strip that I've just had, and I just want it opposite to what we put on the other card. No, I want it right in the middle and right up to the top. Okay, we can put that one on the side. I know what I was doing now. So we put that one on the opposite side. We then put our, keep this book, which came from the cut apart sheet, over and across. We then now start layering. This piece here was from the cut apart sheet. And pop this into the middle, right to the top. Now this one here came from the front title page with all those tags. Now I have got a little bow which I've done, which we can attach the glue at the top. Don't use a too thick a twine, otherwise you're adding bulk to your layers. Now this here, I am going to just edge around so there's definitely no spots, and we will attach that like so in the middle, and then I've got memories underneath, which I'm just going to put towards one side, just so everything's not sitting in the middle. Like so. So then you will end up with your 4 cards to make the set, and that's our left hand side finished. Now we're going to start our right side, and I'm doing once again an eye candy card. Now you remember the directions I gave you for cutting this card out, so you shouldn't have actually cut into this. So all we need to do with that is I've just edged it, and we'll stick that down. Now I have actually gone into my stash and got some tickets and things, but if you haven't got that, just go to the sheet that has all the receipts and things like that, and just choose yourself some receipts and things that you can actually use for this. This come from the front sheet and your cut apart sheet. Now I've used one of those tags again, but I have cut a spare piece to just fit inside my tag from the blue, dark blue sheet. I'm just going to put that in the middle of my tag, and I've got some cord, and I'm to match up the other side where I've got the wrapped cord. I'm just going to wrap this around a couple of times, tie it off and make a bow. It's just so that you've got the same element on sort of both sides of your tag, and just trim off those ends to be a nice distance. And I'm going to put a bow onto this capped, so you need to do a little bow for that as well. Now put your tag on your piece so it looks like you've got 2 tags. Now just run to some tape onto your tag, but don't press it down. So get it into place like that, because you're going to be tucking things underneath. So with our ticket, I would slant it the opposite way. And then you've got a couple of small things here, and this come from some snippets, but as I said, you can find some of those numbers on the bottom of your pages and use that if you've got that. And that is going at the top of your tag so that your tag looks like it's numbered. I'm sure in your stash you'll be able to find something with some small numbers. Okay, our little ticket here, I'm just going to layer there. Just to add a bit of interest. Now I've actually stuck everything underneath, I will attach my tag so it's nice and solid. This here at the bottom, and we'll just work out where I'd like this to go. So I'm going to stick this, but it's sort of hanging off a bit, so to negate that I will just get to give me a bit of height, stick a bit of glue in it. And make myself a little raised piece, which I'm going to put underneath the number there. Get that to stick. Then I can put my tape or glue or whatever, and that actually gets it to sit nice and flat without being raised, so it will still give you dimension. But if you put foam underneath that, you'd be bringing it too high, because we want this on the top. Now I would like this raised a little bit, so I'm just going to cut myself a strip of this. And it's one way of getting a bit of texture, but without the huge double tape bulk. So we'll just pop that on the back like that. And when this goes on, you will actually see it's actually just giving a little bit more texture. And I need another piece underneath here, because what will happen there is when it's in your plastic folder, you will actually have a problem that it will flatten out. So I'm just going to bulk that up a bit with a couple of pieces of as you can see here, I'm just going to pop that on like that. Put some more glue down. And that will give it the support that it needs, because when I put the bow on this, it would have just pushed it straight down very gently. Attach my bow. There we have our eye candy card for the left hand side. Now we're going to do card number 7, which is going to be a flat card, and it's going to be a very easy flat card, but as you can see, I've had to do a bit of reconstructing with what I first did, because looking at the plastic folders, my plastic folders open from the inside, not from the top. So I'm having to do a bit of a change on how I do my open mechanisms, because you can't have it on the left hand side opening, for example, this way, because every time you turn the page it will flap open, which you don't want. So the flap mechanism has to go this way, which means it's on the edge of the plastic folder. So I will have to slit a little hole and actually put my folding mechanism on the inside once the card is in place, which I will do a video at the very end as I'm putting it into the plastic folders. So all I have done here, I've got my base card here, which I've put my photograph, which will be underneath, and then I will have all of my stuff on the top of the card, and it will open this way to reveal this other photograph. Now all I have done is just cut some of whatever brown cardstock you've got left over to give you that extra card, because you have used all of your cardstock cutting these placemats out for, and you won't have any left. So that's what I've done there. Now to do my open mechanism, I would actually do that first before you put any of your cards on, because you want that to be underneath so you don't see it. So I'm going to tape that down really well onto my card, making sure that the fold mechanism has a tiny bit of room to maneuver. Now you can't do your full width of this, because if you split your folder all that way, all your cards will fall out. So by doing a small fold, you'll be fine. So that is working the correct way that we need this flat page to work, and it's just a way of adding a couple of extra photographs, particularly when you've done holidays. So now we're going to make our card for this photograph, which will be showing. So we put our card that we have cut at 5 5/8 by 3 5/8 and edged it in the brown, and as you can see, you can't really see any of this. Now this piece, which I was going to use as the fold piece on an open page, I will then pop onto my page where it was originally, and that piece of paper was 3 3/4 by 2 3/4 with that sheet here. This little sheet here I want down the bottom, and I want that to go the full width across. So we'll just attach that down the bottom, but first of all put your photograph in so that you can actually place this right in the middle. Like that. Then this piece we can attach now our photograph. Now remember, because it's an outside piece of the plastic folder, you need everything taped down extra. Now this piece I am going to put here, and this is going over the top. So once again we put the extra tape to make sure it's stuck really well. Now the documenting, I sort of put that into the middle. Then I will glue my bow, and in actual fact, because this is on the outside of a card, instead of just sticking it, I'm going to attach my string and then do my bow, because then I know that the bow won't fall off. So I just quickly do a little bow. Now underneath that bow I am going to put a wad of glue to make sure that that stays put. So now we have our flap card ready to put into our folder, and it will open up like that, and you've got an extra 2 spots. Now I won't be doing any journaling with this particular layer, because I always do a hidden journaling pocket at the back with a file folder, which I do all of my itinerary and all of my writing of my trips on into that folder. So there we have card number 7 done. Now before I go on to card 9, I just want to say that I have got a true 3x4 photograph here. So your photo mat will be 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, which is why that photograph is larger. And I've done exactly the same with this photograph here. So the 2 bottom photographs are the true 3x4. And I've stuck my true photograph down. So we have got our normal base card, which we will just pop our dominoes on. And I know a lot of you are quite surprised, but there is not a flower in sight on this layout. And as you know, I do like my flowers. So there we have this piece here. Now because the other one, the photograph was down the bottom, we are going to put our photograph at the top. So we want our blue at the bottom, because if you put ephemera on there, it's just going to drown itself out. So if we put our blue down the bottom, what happens then is any ephemera actually shows up. So we will attach. Now once I've laid this down, I am now going to add my photograph, and this is a very, very simple card. I'm just going to put my photograph in the middle, and at the bottom I have got one of those beautiful strips. Sometimes it's nice just to have a simple card. So I've stripped back some of the things that I was going to put on this, and I'll just add them to another card. So we'll just put our little bow on, and from this layout I had an extra 3 things here which I haven't used, which I will just use on one of my other cards. We'll just keep this one very, very simple. So there we have card number 9 finished. Now we're starting on our 3x4 cards here, and I've just taken my normal 1/8 of an inch off of 2 sides and popped my photograph on for the photo mat. But the one down below, I wanted a flap card. Now I know for a fact, because I've checked, that my plastic folders open from this side inwards, so I can very quickly do a card because it will open up the correct way. So all I need is my 3x4 and a 3x4, which goes underneath, and I want this one so that the photo mat is on both sides. So how I do that is I will attach very well a lot of tape and stick my one 3x4 like that, attach the other one on the other side like that, and then I have chosen my photographs which are going to go in here, so I will put those in right now. Put the other part here. Now remember, with this one, it's on the outside of the plastic sleeve, so make sure it's well stuck. Fold down, make sure you've got a good crease there. Now with this one, to match the other side, I have cut some of the blue, and once again it's having a lot of tape. And then I have my photograph, which I've just cut enough off of all the sides to give me that small border, which is a 1/8 of an inch increments. So this one will end up by being 3 3/4 by 2 3/4 for your photo mat. And there we have a fabulous little fold card that will just slide straight in with your photographs. And believe it or not, when you put these in, I know it's flapping up a bit now, but with the weight of your album, eventually it will just stay put. You can get your little bone folder and give it a really good push, but basically it's because of the thickness. If you had enough cardstock, you could actually just do one full cardstock, so that would actually save a bit on your height of this, if you wanted to. Or you could actually just do it in black cardstock, and that way your photographs would go straight on to your black cardstock. That's another way of doing this pocket. So there's those two done, and now we'll do card 10B and 10D to finish our layout. These are our last of our 3x4s, and they're both of them are what I class as the eye candy cards, so they don't have a photograph. So they're quite easy. You've got your 3x4 base card. I've cut the blue for this one and edged it in the brown. I then got a strip of the brown coloured paper that was left over, and this is 4 inches by 1 inch because the strip needs to go all the way across from side to side. Place that roughly in the middle, just down a bit, so you've got odd amounts, because that always looks better. With my card here, I just found this on one of the ephemera sheets with all the tickets and receipts and stuff like that. So I'm going to put that here, but before I do that, once again, I want to wrap some of that nice twine around the card. Tie the knot in the middle. Just to follow that theme through. Fan out your twine. And then lay that on your card crooked. Now with this one, I just want to do some layering here. I'm going to pop this ticket in. So you just do a wee bit of layering. With this one, I want that tucked behind, but I'm just bringing in some of that domino once again, just to follow it through. Tapestry in Time, which I was going to use on one of the other cards, I'm going to put here. Now I think with Tapestry of Time I will actually put that on some foam tape. Foam tape that. This I want underneath this ticket here, so sort of that's a good thing with this tape and that. Until tomorrow you can actually sort of pop things underneath, and then this one will go just underneath here, I think. I don't like it up there, so I'm just going to pop this down into this corner. Yeah, and there is that card finished quite quickly, and I've got a little bow to pop on my tag, So once that dries, that will be stuck. Now the other card's really simple too. They look difficult, but they're not. I've edged this and I've just taken my 1/4 inch off of 2 sides to get my 1/8 inch border. Now we will stick our blue strip I think we might go in the middle. I think. No, we're going to put it across 1/3. Do that, and then my dominoes, which I have cut so it goes beautiful and central, will go across. So you've sort of got that effect. Your little piece of this will go just underneath here, and then this is going to go on the top here. And then I've got a lovely arrow pointing down. So I'm going to attach that. Like so. And there we have our last card finished for our layout. So I will give you a sneak peek of the finished. Now, as promised, I'm going to put my flat pages in and show you how I do this. Because of the way the folder is working, the closure here is at the back, so I'm going to have to put a split in to pop this in here. So I need some tape here. I'm going to tape that down. So just pop your tape on your flat. Now I always put a piece of white card in so I can physically see what I'm doing. Now your slit needs to be just slightly bigger than your flap. So very carefully, I just mark with something I can rub off, and I get a ruler and I just very gently slit through the plastic. Just take your time with this. And once you've got a tiny little hole, you can just take your Stanley knife and just cut that slit down to where it needs to go. Now once you've done your slit, you can pop your little piece in and then get it to fold. Now as soon as you've got it folding correctly, take your Stanley knife and hold the two pieces and grab that tape. It's a little bit difficult. There we go. And just make sure that fold's working correctly before you attach it down. And then take that tape off. Make sure your fold is folding and then press down. And there we have our pocket page securely fastened, and it won't go anywhere. So that is that particular fold. Now we've got two others here. Now once again, the fold of this one is in the wrong position, so we have to have it going this way. So the same thing applies. But first of all, we will do this one here, which, if you remember rightly, I needed the slit here for this one. So what we have to do here is get our card matching. Get a ruler. And cut. Now make sure that this white paper is pushed in right to the edge of where your folder is, so you can physically see where you're cutting. And then very gently slice down, and then just get your Stanley blade once again under that cut surface, and just sort of get that slit working, because you don't want to cut too heavy, otherwise you'll cut through to the other side. And it does help if your Stanley blade is really nice and sharp, which mine isn't at the moment. There we go. So there we have our slit. Now just have a bit of a practice run of getting that in, like so. And there we have our fold. So what we need to do now is take this sheet out, the white piece of paper, because we have got our slit, and then we tape. Put the tape on the wrong way there. Once again, we tape this really well. And cut off any excess off that fold. Now, if I was you, I always take my sticky off, because it makes it easier to get it off when it's through. So what we do now is we hold, this is a bit awkward, but you hold your card and get that flap into there, fold it close so that your card meets, and you can turn it over and come in from the back. I know it's awkward. And take your tape out. Now slide your card in, get it to meet, and press down. There we have our great flat page done there for for your folder. Now this one here, we have to do the same. We'll just make that card a little bit smaller, and we pop, find the opening. Now, if you don't want to slit that fully, so cut a little bit of this fold away like this. It just helps with the mechanism. Okay. We'll put our tape on. Once again, to make it easier, just rip that off and just re-stick it very gently. Now we're going to be making a cut here. So I'm just going to mark 2 little dots like so. Get my Stanley blade again and my ruler. Line your dots up. And there we have our slit. Get rid of that paper. Now, if you're really clever with this, quite often I will take that card up. Now I'm finding that this card is a little bit large for this folder, so I am going to hook it out. Now, because of this card being a bit, and I can't get it out the folder, I'm going to lift the black card up to attach this in. So I'm just going to work my fold in and stick it down. That works. So there we have our fold pages. I know it's a bit of work, but it is well worth the effort if your openings don't work to the right way. And you can actually see why you have to have these flaps facing downwards, because if they were in the other way, when you do this, it just open up and actually crease. So you always have them facing down, so when you open the page, they will lay flat. So I hope that helped with your layout.